We have multiple winter storms over the course of the next 7 to 10 days as much colder air moves in. Let's take a look at the water vapor imagery this afternoon. And you can see further south, we've got that orange shaded color. That is more of a dry slot that's been kind of locked over a good part of the southern plains. But this area up here across the Ohio Valley and into the Northeast, we had some of that icing event that unloaded across portions of the Ohio Valley and more significant ice across areas of West Virginia. Now that system is off the coastline. We had some snow into New York City this morning. It's snowing right now in Boston, but it continues to snow into Maine. But there's another system that's coming ashore right now into Northern California. That's going to feed our weekend system across the north, and then we have another system that's going to be trailing behind that one, and we could even have yet another system that's going to be trailing behind that one. So you can definitely see it's going to be into a very active time frame. So if you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns, hit the subscribe button and you're in. You get all my daily content on this channel to keep you well ahead of the storm. So here's your overall hazard map for this afternoon. We've got those winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings in place for areas of Northern California. So where they're not getting the heavy rain off the coast, they're getting the heavy snow in the mountain regions, and that continues inland. We also have a more significant setup with even a blizzard warning for areas of the Dakotas, but we should see a pretty fairly decent swath of snow for your weekend across the Dakotas into Minnesota as well as into Wisconsin. And of course, we got this other activity that's happening right now into New England and areas of portions of the Northeast with winter weather advisories in place. But here's your weekend system. We do have a conveyor belt of moisture coming in off the west coast. We've got the ridging kind of locked over Alaska, and we've got the cold air that's been trapped underneath. But we also are locked into that zonal flow that we've been in all week long. So that keeps the warmer anomalies alive further south, and that just keeps the train ongoing through the weekend for areas across the north. That's why we have those winter weather advisories for some of that heavier snow that will likely unfold. So as we transfer into tomorrow, there's a system coming ashore. We've got more heavy rain for areas of Northern California and Southern Oregon, but the snow is continuing to fly and intensify as we head into Idaho, areas of Montana, back into Wyoming, and that only helps to generate the atmosphere even further. That's why we have some blizzard warnings for parts of the Dakotas with some heavier snow likely to unfold and going into Minnesota. And then of course we have that other system that's kind of winding itself down with our first winter storm. Then of course we got a second one coming in for the weekend. Notice further south, we've got that stalled frontal boundary. That is your zonal flow that's been kind of stalled. So further south of this line, you're in the warm sector, you're in the warm and muggy air mass. To the north of there, you are experiencing some of those chillier like conditions. But for your Saturday heading into the weekend, that conveyor belt of moisture continues to push across areas of Minnesota into Wisconsin. So we could see a more significant heavy snow swath across central areas of Minnesota and Wisconsin. That moves over the entire state of Michigan. And then again, once we get into New York and upstate New York and Vermont and New Hampshire, areas into Massachusetts, portions of Connecticut, especially into Maine, we're going to be seeing more significant snow starting to fly. And then yes, further south, unfortunately, that gives you more of a glazing to 1/10 of an inch, in some areas a 1/4 inch of ice again across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. So a lot of the same areas that just got impacted with this last event could see more significant icing across West Virginia, back into Maryland, back into portions of the DC area, Delaware, New Jersey. Those areas are susceptible to see some of that freezing rain again. But again, that stalled frontal boundary, it's really not until Sunday that it kind of shifts further south. But here's your weekend snowfall. So this is the snow that's coming up. So this is basically between tomorrow and going into Sunday. We're looking at the storm system coming in off the west coast, that west-east flow. So all the areas that are highlighted in pink, you could be looking at some double-digit totals just for your weekend, Friday, Saturday, and portions of Sunday. But areas across North Dakota, a good 6 to 10 inch swath across the Dakotas, Minnesota, back into Wisconsin, and then even 4 to 6 inch amounts, pretty much the entire state of Michigan. And then we've got the heavier snows that will move into New England. But look at this, man. It's pretty healthy snowfall totals just for your weekend. Some of these areas could see some double-digit totals, but a pretty good swath of 6 to 10 inch totals, and that is just for your weekend. And there's your ice that's with this system as well. So it's not just a snow event. It's also more icing that could unload across these same general areas of the Ohio Valley, but especially getting into the mid-Atlantic, especially there into Maryland, Pennsylvania. Some areas could be looking at a kind of a 1/4 inch of ice appreciation again, areas of New Jersey. So yes, that could cause more significant problems, not just on the roads, but some of the power lines as well for the weekend. But by Sunday, that cold air will finally kind of break that dam that's been locked over pretty much all week long, will allow that colder air to sink further south. So these are actual high temperatures on Sunday. It's going to be a drastic difference for those areas across Texas, where you could be looking at record 85-degree temperatures on Saturday, and we could not even get out of the 40s, about a 40-degree drop for areas of North Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. You're going to be feeling this front in a big way, and that is the start of things to come as that colder air keeps pressing further south. And so by Monday night, we'll have yet another disturbance that's going to be coming in from the south. So now areas across the south will start to get some of those rain showers, like more of a chilly rain. Some of it will actually transfer over into some ice, especially as we get into portions of Oklahoma, into Arkansas, into Tennessee, as well as in Kentucky. But we should be all snow in Nebraska, areas of Kansas, back into Missouri. A chilly rain for you folks into, say, Austin, Dallas, East Texas, those areas, back into Shreveport, those areas across the south. We should be seeing more of a chillier rain, but further north, it's going to be all snow. And then yet we have another system going to be trailing behind this one. This would be Wednesday, so this would be 6 days from now. Yes, more snow could unfold across the Texas Panhandle. Even some icing with more colder air comes in on the backside, even areas of far North Texas into the Red River area, but especially there in Oklahoma, back into Arkansas, into Missouri again. As this continues to lift up to the northeast, could be bringing more snow even a little bit further south this time into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, back in Ohio. And again, more icing potentially and mixed with snow there into Pennsylvania. But it should be all snow again in New York, getting into areas of Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire. But notice what's going on out west, folks. Yes, we've had a kind of a series of atmospheric river events that have impacted, Oregon and Northern California, but we also probably have a more significant one that's actually going to be putting much further south. So now we're talking areas into Southern California are going to be in line for an atmospheric river event on, say, the 13th. About a week time frame, we could be looking at the most significant storm for them in months, with very heavy rain unfolding, which it might come in too fast, has caused extensive flooding across those regions and a lot of mudslides. While the east is still getting pounded with relentless amounts of some icing and some more heavy snows across that region. This would likely be on that Thursday, the 13th time frame. And notice the darker blues again up there into New England and to the Northeast. So you're going to be putting together some pretty healthy snowfall totals just over the next 10 days as that colder air continues to press southbound. So by the time we get a week time frame from now, much of the lower 48 is going to be feeling the effects of that colder air mass that's been locked up to the north. And it's really just areas across far southeastern areas of the southeast, and much of Florida might be missing out on the brunt of this colder air mass. But look at the setup as we head into that Thursday timeframe of next week. Yes, that could be a more significant setup, inundating areas of Southern California with a lot of heavy rain. And let me show you some of these preliminary amounts. And this is actually pretty widespread, folks, on a lot of model guidance, and even some of the blends are kind of hinting at, we could be looking at easily 2 to 4 inches of rain. That's a lot of rain for them. Even a ½ inch of rain in this region is actually considered a lot of rain. So they don't really get much, and obviously they really haven't had much. They desperately need the rain, but of course they don't really need it this much too soon. So this could cause more significant issues. But yeah, we could be looking at some probably 2 to 3 inches there in San Diego, couple of inches in Oceanside, over 4 inches in Los Angeles. So yes, that would do be a more significant event as we head into next Thursday timeframe. And that system also traverses across the Four Corners regions and lifts across the Panhandle and through Oklahoma, and kind of takes another beeline towards that Ohio Valley region and into the Mid-Atlantic region, as we head towards that Valentine's, time frame. But there's some more ice. This is, this is the combination of some icing that's going to unload on the blend. So that could even extend into portions of Texas by the time we get into that Tuesday, Wednesday time frame of next week, over portions of Oklahoma, getting into Arkansas, but yes, a little bit further south into Tennessee, areas of North Carolina, getting into Virginia, back into Pennsylvania again. So this is your ice that could accumulate over the next 7 to 10 days. And there's your snow swap. Notice this is the actual blend. So this is your national blend. So this is a blend of all the European, the GFS, the Canadian, like basically all the models out there, and kind of blends it and moves it into one. So it's more of a conservative view. It looks like the bigger picture. Obviously, some are higher, some are lower, but this kind of gives you an average mean of what we're looking at. And this is the totals, folks. I mean, this is pretty significant. All these areas in pink, you could be looking at some double-digit totals, kind of over a widespread basis. And notice these, kind of white shaded areas, that could be over 2 feet. And that could include even the Boston region. I think they're like 22 inches right now over the next 7 to 10 days. So more significant totals would likely unfold across a good part of the north central US, Ohio Valley, into areas of the Mid-Atlantic, but especially there into the Northeast. And there's your actual rain, your just precipitation over the next 7 to 10 days. Notice the West Coast with system after system gets pounded off the West Coast, and that system by Thursday comes in much further south, and that moves inland. So most of this would be actually be in the form of snow into the higher elevations. We do have more of a dry slot. Most of New Mexico and most of West Texas and our western regions of Kansas and areas of eastern Colorado get missed out on most of this. But then, of course, it picks back up east of the I-35 corridor, and more your heavier rains will move through Mississippi, Alabama, through Georgia, back through Tennessee. And some of this could be mixed with ice once you get into Kentucky. We had that tornado watch this morning. We actually had several tornado warnings or worsened damage that had reported into the overnight hour. So the National Weather Service is out surveying the damage right now and see if there was, in fact, any tornadoes that came out of that system into the overnight hours as well as this morning. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update while I protect you before and after the storm.